Americans across the nation have a very pressing question. Harris or Trump? Who will deliver the best results for the nation? Who is the best fit for president? Does your vote even matter? Well, let me tell you, this election is probably the most important one in all of American history, so of course your vote matters. To start this video off, I'd like to examine the Electoral College map and explain why this election is so darn close. A few states in America are very notable. These are known as swing states. Ultimately, voters in these states truly decide who becomes president. If you didn't know, the popular vote doesn't actually decide who is president. We have the Electoral College, and each state is given 3 electoral votes no matter what. Now, there are inherent flaws and injustices with this model, as some people's votes are worth more than other people's votes, but regardless, it's still the system that we have to abide by. The swing states of America include Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. For Kamala Harris to win, she has to get Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin for exactly 270. A candidate needs 270 electoral votes, which is a majority, in order to win the election. Here's something important to note. All of these swing states are a toss-up. Harris is a 0.3% lead in Wisconsin and a 0.8% lead in Michigan. Trump has a 0.4% lead in Pennsylvania, a 1.5% lead in North Carolina, a whopping 2.6% lead in Georgia, a 2.3% lead in Arizona, and finally a 1.5% lead in Nevada. So does this mean Trump is going to win? Well, no, not quite. For example, in 2016, polls predicted a Hillary Clinton victory, but she ultimately lost to Trump. Why? Because the polls are only predictive. You can't actually know the future of voters. Their predictions always have margins of error associated with them, and Hillary Clinton's loss fell within that margin of error. Now, truth be told, I, as a 17-year-old student, am very concerned about this election. It truly is the most important election of our lifetime. I know woke scolds keep saying democracy is on the ballot and blah, 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 all the other stuff, but truly, it actually is. You may love Trump for a variety of reasons, and I perfectly understand all of them, but I need you to know he is not a legitimate candidate. It's true that he's pro-weed, pro-Second Amendment, and, truth be told, a very funny guy, but we cannot re-elect him. January 6th itself is one of the most damning events ever to occur in this nation's history. I have a very in-depth video explaining the entire false electorate scheme and all the lies surrounding election fraud. But in this video, I'd like to focus on issues that conservatives really do care about instead of that. If you're interested, go check out that video instead. But finish this one first, too. But for context, I'm a liberal. I believe in the liberalism that was birthed after the Enlightenment, as probably the majority of Americans do. This may be better described as a classical liberal, but I also am very pro-welfare as well. Radical leftists would probably call me a conservative, but you know, you win some and you lose some. But in this video, I'm specifically trying to appeal to a more conservative type voter. So if that's you, please keep an open mind. So how does Trump fare when implementing conservative type values? More importantly, how well does he represent these values himself? A lot, and I mean a lot of Americans, including conservatives, are Christian. Christians should, and typically do, care about their president representing values that hold to the Christian tradition. So this begs the question, does Trump represent Christian values particularly well? No, not really. Whatsoever, actually. A court found him guilty of defamation after Jean Carroll came forward with her case against him, saying that Donald Trump had raped her. However, they did not find him guilty of rape. Instead, they found him liable of sexual assault. They had to figure this out in order to assess if the defamation was justifiable or not. The defamation dealt with him slandering her in the press in 2016 when she came forward. Not to mention his Stormy Daniels case, where he basically just slept with a porn star and then paid her off. Furthermore, when pressed on his favorite book in the Bible, he gives up very lackluster answers.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book, and you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what 1 or 2 of your most favorite Bible verses are, and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible, the whole Bible is an incredible, I joke, very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
To all of my evangelical type fans, he really does not represent you at all. Now, I'm aware that some of you may be concerned about Kamala's faith, but she has spoken at churches and is baptized as a Baptist. For additional context, Tim Walz is Lutheran, and J.D. Vance, who's previously compared Trump to Hitler, is Catholic himself. Not all conservatives are Christian. So let's press on some more economic issues that other types of conservatives would really care about. Let's talk about his tariff plan. But before I get to that though, please subscribe. I am putting in the extra hours to make videos like this. I'm still in high school, I have a job, I volunteer, I'm a fantastic student, but I really want to make this my full-time job. So if you could, please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and if you may, go join my Discord, check out my Twitch, and follow my Instagram if you'd like content like this. Pelin out. Americans, especially conservatives, care about the cost of goods and inflation. If conservatives actually care about that, I don't know why we're supporting Trump's tariff plan. It is actually crazy. It ranges from a 10 to 20% tax on all imported goods to a whopping 60% tax on Chinese imported goods. Do you understand just how radically this will affect consumers? Not only that, this also affects producers in America as well. It's not China who pays the import tax. It's American producers who do. It is effectively a tax on our producers, not China. Hypothetically, this should lead to producers buying goods domestically instead of buying goods from China. But this still raises the cost for consumers because of something known as comparative advantage. Some countries are good at producing one thing, and other countries are good at producing another thing. So whoever has the lowest opportunity cost to produce each of these types of goods should produce that type of good and then trade it to the other country. Consumers and domestic producers will pay the brunt of this tax. This will lead to higher inflation and ruin our relationship with China. Conservatives are typically against super high inflation and raising taxes. These policies come from a fundamental misunderstanding of comparative advantage and the fact that the world price for some goods is going to be lower than the domestic price for some goods. So when we implement these types of policies, yes, it would lead to more domestic producers to produce goods, but it would raise costs, which is something that we want to prevent. It's better for us to trade because we produce goods better than other countries produce. So if we trade with those countries, we get benefits in return. This is not a conservative policy. It is an anti-American policy. It does not conserve American interests. It worsens them. To segue off of economics, let's focus on Election Day. Election Day is November 5th. Your vote could literally decide the entire election. That is how important this is. Go out and vote, but please, before you click off this video, let me make the case for Kamala Harris to you. To start, she doesn't suffer from the, what can be best described as dementia Joe Biden has been suffering from for the better part of 4 years. She plans to raise the child tax credit for those across the entire nation. She wants to increase corporate taxes, which I know is controversial, but if you want to pay off that large national debt, that's definitely a place to start. She refuses to raise taxes on Americans making under $400,000 a year, which is going to be like 80% of all of Americans. Her and other Democrats already worked to get a border bill passed, but Trump shot it down because he wanted to run the issue for his 2024 campaign. She wants a two-state solution in Palestine and wants the hostages returned to Israel, Hamas deposed, and the suffering in Gaza to end. She has continued to express support for healthcare programs for Americans. She was the tie-breaking vote in the Inflation Reduction Act, which gave money to renewable energy, permitted new fracking permits, and added an electric vehicle tax credit. Plus, if you really want to go in depth on what Biden has done for this country in the past 4 years, he has actually done a phenomenal job. And of course, Vice President Harris is part of that entire strategy. So if you like anything that Biden has been doing, and I suggest you read into it more if you think it's like all just horse shit, it actually is some of the best stuff that the nation will ever see in the entire lifetime of the United States. So go check that stuff out too. Please, if you are still undecided, go out and vote for Kamala. Everything I've provided is a drop in the bucket compared to all the other issues with another Trump presidency. Not even his old team will support him this time around. Go vote, enjoy the day off, but remember, the election rests upon your shoulders. Thank you for watching. This channel has seen a lot of growth lately, primarily due to the January 6th video. I think somebody posted it on Destiny's subreddit, which was really awesome of them. Thank you to whoever did that. You know, I'm still trying to figure out how I want to make content. If you like the new style compared to my old stuff, let me know in the comments, please. Like, I really want to know. Thank you. Love y'all. Please subscribe, like the video, comment, do all that stuff. Pellin out.